In this video, I'm going to break down how simple it is to stop giving a fuck and why it's not only important, it's actually essential if you want to actually become the best version of you. You want to be your best self. You want to make 2025 the best year yet, etc. etc. Now, I've taken at this point well over 300 sales calls, right? For a living, I speak to people, they tell me all their problems in life, what is keeping them from actually growing an online business. And one of the biggest problems that they have is that they are scared to make content, they are scared to start, they are scared to actually make a change in their life because they are scared of what other people will think, and they are scared of what other people will say and how they might perceive them if they go ahead and do that. And I actually went through this exact same thing myself in my own entrepreneurial journey or journey of making content, because growing up I was an insecure kid, right? I grew up with a lot of insecurity, as many people do, and when it came to everything that I wanted to do, no one else in my area, no one else in my friendship group or social circle was doing it, so it was completely alien. And for that reason, I obviously felt like I was the odd one out, right? Because I wanted things that other people around me didn't want. And I see that same thing when I speak to these people in sales calls now, and they tell me they're scared of what people will think or what people will say. And I ask them, okay, cool, what are you scared of exactly, right? And they say to me, okay, what if I post a video and like all my friends or people from my school start saying, oh, like this video is so shit, and start taking the piss out of me and stuff, right? And I asked them a very simple question, and I should have actually took my own advice here, because I went through this exact same struggle for many years actually, and I'd never actually faced this fear I had of myself. And I asked the question of, let me ask you this: how many times a day do you right now sit down and think, wow, that person's content was so shit? Right? How many times does that happen? It's not even one, right? And if it's one, then you should probably like start doing some productive shit, because your life is way too boring to be thinking those type of things, right? Like, that doesn't happen. Like, we think we're so special. We think, wow, everyone cares about us, like every single point in the day, everyone's watching us, and people are watching you, people do care about you. But guess what? Everyone has their own lives. Everyone's busy doing their own shit. No one really cares about a 10-second or 10-minute video that you posted, or that you've just changed jobs, or that you've just started a business, or that you've just stopped running your business and now you're back at your job. Like, no one actually gives a shit like that, right? And if they do, they probably will only think of it in their head consciously for like 5 minutes max, and then go back to doing what they're doing with their life, right? We're not actually this special. So it's not actually a fear you have of other people, which is the reason why you keep caring what the people think. It's about what you think of yourself, right? So stop giving a fuck about what other people think of you. Start giving a fuck about what you think of yourself, right? A famous man, a wise man once said, I think this was Marcus Aurelius, he said that start to understand that outside events are not within your control, and that they will not give you any fulfillment. He who conquers the strength inside his mind is the happiest of us all. Like, for real, it is. This is the stuff that I actually wish I learned this shit like years back, right? And I still get so many people tell me that they struggle with making a change because they give a fuck. And I had this realization myself, right? I realized that I'm never going to be happy, I'm never going to be fulfilled if I think too much of what someone else thinks of me, right? That's not within my control. And whenever I've thought that, you know, other people giving me validation would make me happy, it actually hasn't. It's actually done the opposite, and I've wanted even more, right? Because I'm always searching for more. Once you start craving like a sense of like validation or something from other people to kind of boost your own ego, it never goes away, and that is never ever ever going to make you happy or make you fulfilled or make you motivated to put in the work, right? You're much better off literally just sitting down and asking yourself one very, very simple question. This is what I did. This took me actually a very long time to understand and put into practice. And even now, I only started doing this probably like, year and a half, 2 years ago. And I'm still sort of putting this into place. I'm still implementing. and starting to see what this looks like. But it's called asking yourself why. Whenever you have a thought, whenever someone comes into your mind and you think of what other people think of you, what other people say, start asking yourself, why are you thinking this thing in here? Why is that coming up? Where is that coming from? Right? You start to look within yourself and you realize that it's not about other people, it's about yourself. It's about your own imperfections and insecurities, and then all these limiting beliefs start coming out about you and not about other people, and that's where the true strength lies. I'm still going through this, and I'm just realizing now how important it is to just keep falling in love with the process, keep falling in love with what you do and who you're becoming, and also realizing something very, very important that I don't think is spoken about enough, and I actually think is the most important thing that people who are entrepreneurs or trying to be entrepreneurs should aim to do, and that is to actually realize that there is nothing else that you need to go and do. There's nowhere else that you need to be. We always think, I'm just going to keep giving a fuck unless I just move to Thailand and be a fucking kickboxer for 2 months, or I move to Miami and I live in a high-rise apartment and I smoke cigars. Like, no, bro, like that shit ain't going to make you happy, because you're never going to be successful until you do. There is no one else that you need to be like. There is no one else that you need to try and emulate. Okay, there's no one else that you need to even be like crediting for your success. One thing that I used to always do, and I think this shows how much of a fuck I used to give about other people. I used to always tell people who helped me, like, oh, you changed my life so much, and they would always say to me, no, you changed your own life, we didn't do shit. And I used to look at them thinking, they're just being humble, right? They're just trying to like say the right thing because morally, like, they don't want to come across as egotistical. But then I realized that shit is actually true. Like, no one else is actually responsible for my success. It's me. It's, no one else is responsible for your success. It's you. You're the one who put in the work. A lot of people can just listen to what other people say and don't actually do anything. So it's down to you. Right? You've put in the work. You've made it possible. You've made it happen. Right? So when it comes to not giving a fuck, when it comes to not caring what other people think of you, and why it's so important to stop doing that, is because you'll never get over yourself. You'll never actually put in the work unless you do, right? And we can speak on a few different things as well that also come into play that are important, like overcoming trauma, right? A lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of people that you may crave validation from, or you think of what they might think of you. Myself comes from trauma that they've put on you or you put on yourself because of them or something. So I think it's even more important that you start actually thinking of this shit like on a daily basis. You lie down, you close your eyes, you meditate in silence, or you just go for long walks like I did, and you start questioning what goes on inside your mind. You start rewiring your beliefs one by one. Now, it's funny because actually, and I had this conversation with someone the other day as well. It's like the most successful man I know. He is terrible when it comes to punctuality, right? He's always late. He's never on time. But guess what? He don't give a fuck, and he's the richest man that I know. He's the richest man that so many other people I know as well, and he's helped so many other people become rich and achieve the life of their dreams also, right? Because he just don't give a fuck. He's just so like present. He's just so like, even if he tries something, it's like something that I went through, right? Whenever I'd have an event, whenever I'd need to go to a place, I would always think, oh fuck, I need to make that deadline, right? And I got this from my parents, right? But I'm like, okay, cool. If I have something on at like 4, at like 2:30, I'm stressing, thinking, fuck, I need to be at this place by 4. I need to do this, and this. And guess what? I'd end up stressing myself out, and I would end up being late somehow, right? And kind of crazy how the universe works. But when I started to really detach from that shit, when I started to think, you know what, I don't even care if I'm late, it has no bearing on me whatsoever, I'd actually end up being one of the earliest people there. Right, traffic was lighter. I'd end up like taking a lot less time to get ready, right? So many different things would just come into play that meant that would happen for me, and it would happen much easier. So the next time you want to start something, whether it's that business that you've always wanted to start, never have done, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's making content, but you're scared of what other people will say or what other people think, start looking within, start asking a few of these questions to yourself. I mentioned in another thought that you can have, it's not necessarily a question, but something that you need to definitely bear in mind. Probably the most important one of all that I haven't actually mentioned or discussed yet is you want all these different things. You're scared of being held back with the people, but actually you're holding yourself back by doing that. But guess what? You're never going to know what you can be until you try.